Thank you everyone for joining us on this webinar where we will be sharing some ways you can get the most out of Canvas using Delphinium. We'll start by hearing from Rick Gaisford, the Educational Technology Specialist at Utah State Office of Education.
Thank you, Jared. It's a pleasure to be with you all this afternoon. I have a good friend that called me up a few months ago and introduced me to this particular product, Delphinium. And one, we have statewide license for Canvas, so that intrigued me that it works with Canvas. And two, one of the things that we talk a lot about in education these days is how to better engage our students, and that engaged students tend to do better. And as a way to help to engage students, I was intrigued. And so I suggested that it might be good to let others in the state know about this, and let them have the opportunity then to decide how they want to move, how your local schools and districts may want to move forward and looking at tools such as Delphinium and that. And so that's, I just sent the information out, just wanted you to be aware of some of the things that I occasionally get to see in that and to share with you. I think this will be worth the time to sit and listen. So enjoy the presentation. We've got some great presenters from Davis District here with us, and I think that will be something that will be interesting to learn and hear about. So I'll turn the time back to whomever is next.
Thanks, Rick. Well, my name is Jared Chapman. I am the founder and Chief Innovation Officer for Delphinium. My background is in educational technology, and I have an MBA and a PhD in organizational psychology. I've been involved with education in some way or another for about the past 25 years. And for the past 12 years, I've been a professor at Utah Valley University. Today, we're going to also be excited to hear from Dr. Ryan Hansen, the Director of Digital Learning from Davis School District. Ryan has a master's in educational leadership and policy, a PhD in curriculum and instruction and educational leadership, and he has been involved in education for the past 27 years. We'll also be joined by several members from the Davis Connect team that Ryan will introduce here in a little while. I'm going to begin by introducing Delphinium, and then Ryan and his team will share a Delphinium case study from Davis Connect. And at the end, we'll open the discussion and take any questions you have. As we're going throughout the presentations, if you have any questions, please add those to the chat. Brett will be monitoring that chat, and he'll be able to answer some of those questions directly as we go, and others he'll direct us to at the end. I think we all recognize that education is changing. More and more education is moving online, and a lot of our students and our parents are coming to expect that. But the tools we have available to us have been slow to adapt. A lot of our face-to-face strategies don't translate well online. The result lately has been that there's a lot of challenges in student learning. Since 2020, over 1.2 million students have left the K-12 public education system, and there's widespread learning loss in a variety of ages and subjects. Many students are currently testing below levels in math, reading, and other important subjects. Part of the solution to this problem is going to be engaging our students better. We have to help students want to learn. That seems so obvious to say out loud, but we don't have a lot of tools to help us do that. This is where Delphinium can help. Delphinium started in 2012 when I noticed that my students seemed to be addicted to their smartphone games. And I thought, I wonder if I can get them addicted to their homework. That has launched 12 years of research and development that has become Delphinium. If you go on Google Scholar and do a quick search for my name, you'll see some of the publications we've done in this area. So you've all seen this before. This is Canvas. I like to call it the gray scroll of death. It's a wall of text. You create these beautiful courses, and then this is the window the students view those courses through. A little bit of your soul dies inside when you come here. What Delphinium does in just a few minutes is take all that work that you've put into your Canvas course and make it look more like this, a visually engaging interface that helps students want to engage by showing them where they are, where they've been, and where they need to go to next. Delphinium is also a collection of engaging components that direct students' attention to key activities in the course. So here you're going to see things like avatars, leaderboards, and prize boxes. In addition, Delphinium has some powerful teaching tools for helping teachers find struggling students and do something about that so they can help them. The whole goal of Delphinium is to make this easy. Our goal is to give teachers their Saturday nights back. So the real question has been for me as a researcher is, does Delphinium work? Does Delphinium help students perform better in school? And the answer is yes. 72% of students report that Delphinium is more or much more motivating. In an open-ended questions, we ask students how Delphinium differs from traditional courses, and one of the most common words we get back is fun. Students report doing their work earlier and with better quality. Anecdotally, I had one student say, I was sitting on the couch watching Netflix and the thought popped into my head, I could be doing homework right now. And I did. These are the kind of feelings we want students to have when they're thinking about doing their coursework. Another student said, I noticed that I was only a few points behind another student in the leaderboard, so I decided to do another assignment early. And then I realized that if I could just get a couple of more assignments, I could unlock the next prize box. And so I did. In this way, she described that Delphinium helped pull her through the course. This is a paper we studied, we published, where we were able to have 14 sections of a course. 4 used Delphinium, 10 did not. And as a result, those students who were in the Delphinium course had a 47% decrease in the failure rate, and the dropout rate was 65% lower. So that's just a very quick introduction. I'd love to entertain any questions you have at the end, but now I'm going to pass the time over to Ryan to tell us more about how Delphinium worked at Davis Connect.
Yeah, Dr. Chapman, thank you. So Ryan Hansen, I work with the Davis School District, and I have a great opportunity. One of my roles here is to work with our Davis Connect online school, and we have a fantastic team. And you know what's fun about my job, school administration is it can all start with an idea, but when you let team members take on that idea and see what they can do with it, it becomes more than you thought it would be or could be. And that's certainly been the case with our online schools. So, what started, we've had an online program for about the last 10 years, but our online school started the year COVID hit. We were going to start it anyway, but then it just kind of happened that the pandemic happened that year, and then our enrollment went through the roof, and then we kind of came back down and have balanced. But that process of taking what works in a classroom and moving that to the online setting has been, for me, it's fascinating. And I don't miss the illness or human tragedy, but I sort of miss the pandemic that way, because we just had to green light to try a lot of different things. But some things that we know and we hang our hat on in Davis, first of all, human connection. Like there's no substitute for human connection in the school setting, and there never ever will be. One of my favorite sayings is teachers that can be replaced by computers should be, because the gifted teachers, it's essential for, especially in the K-12 setting. You've got to connect to a teacher and a mentor, and that's really what that's what changes lives. That's how we become, our best selves. So human connection is what it's all about. Still, I'm a firm believer that that we can take digital tools and enhance human connection rather than reduce it. So if you look at this slide, there's one of my favorite teachers of all time is a teacher of mine. There's also Carly Maloney, who's the current teacher of the year in Utah, Davis teacher. But then there's also some other people we would probably recognize and know a lot about, even though we haven't necessarily met them in person. And a favorite at our house is Dwight Schrute. So I know what Dwight Schrute likes to eat. I know where he lives. I know a lot about his family. I know a lot about work, how he gets along with the people that he works with. Philosophically, I know a lot about his view on the world. And the thing is, I've never met Dwight Schrute, right? Like I might know, my kids might know Dwight Schrute maybe even more than they know me, their father, which is tragic. But he seems to have more to say at our kitchen table than what I might say on a good day. So it's a fictitious character, but it's somebody that we know. But the way that we know them is completely digital, right? So the idea that we cannot connect with kids digitally, I think, is erroneous, and that's proof. Oprah. I've been to some of her favorite restaurants, but I've never met her. And yet I seem to know a lot about her. And I now I know more about Taylor Swift than I probably ever wanted to. And we probably all do. But so, it's translating what works in a classroom to the online setting. And some teachers are masterful at this, right? And we've got to learn from our best. We feel like at Davis Connect, we have a full roster of teachers that can reach through the digital medium and connect with kids in ways that traditional teachers really haven't done yet, because they get to see those kids in their houses and in the rooms, and it's a different connection, but it's a strong one. Part of my 27 years in the Davis School District, I was the principal at North Davis Junior High School, so a Title I school. We had needs with our student achievement, especially end of level testing data, and the way that we were able to really turn things around as a school was teachers working in communities, working with teams. So we know that a teacher working on a strong team, especially a professional learning community, or a team with common data points, formative assessments, they're going to be a whole lot more successful than a teacher working in isolation. One thing I had a principal a long time ago say something like, 1 crap wipes out 1,000 attaboys. And he used different language than that. But I've heard Phil Jackson, and you see him in the slide, I've heard him say the same thing. So good teachers, good coaches, it's always 5 positives to 1 negative. One of the things we believed at North Davis, and especially with the more at-risk students, is the ratio had to be higher. It had to be 7 to 1. And then, that time that we do have students, engagement is essential. And how do we take the time that they're giving us and make sure that they're on task? One of the things we would measure in our teachers' classes is we'd go in and watch them teach for 10 minutes, and we'd actually watch the kids, and we would count the number of times that the teacher invited the student to be engaged. So it was like, show me a fist of 5, or there was a lot of different ways that they would give kids the opportunity to respond to make sure that they were with them, and talked about perky pace. That's Anita Archer. And then, of course, the protection of classroom time, and how are we most efficient with that. But what we found as we went into teachers' classes is we found that our best teachers, those that kids wanted to be in their class, and those that scored highest on those end of level assessments, they always were the best at all of these things. They just had a magical way of doing all those things, doing it naturally, and connecting with kids. So as we went into the online setting, the big question is, and Dr. Chapman mentioned this, how does that translate? So what things translate over to that online setting that we know are good, solid teaching practices? So next slide. Is that, oh, you went the wrong way. There we go. All right, so our journey to Delphinium. So really, as the digital learning director, one of the things that we decided early, our department, was that we needed an LMS, and it didn't necessarily have to be Canvas. We were glad that it was Canvas. Of course, we had the state contract with Canvas. But the big question is why? And an LMS or Canvas allows parents and students to have 24/7 access to teacher resources. Canvas created a community, a digital community, not only amongst teachers and PLCs, and not only across our school district. We now have, 5th grade teams in Canvas and push out curriculum to all of our 5th grade teachers. But it also gives us access to teachers in JUAB and NEBO and Monticello, because we all have those accounts, and we can all share the resources that we build. When a teacher uses an LMS, they have to be thoughtful. They got to map the curriculum. They have to be organized that way. You can't fake it. It does take more time up front, but it can save time on the back end. I've got a quote there: Canvas doesn't lose my homework. We know what kids are doing when they're in Canvas. It's hard to get that data out sometimes, but the data is there and it's recorded. When we went into Canvas, it gave our kids and our parents a consistent experience. So early in COVID, we rolled out probably 2 or 3 different LMSs because teachers were using some other products, but it became a disservice to our families because it looked different. It looked different for secondary kids who had different teachers, and especially families that had kids in elementary, junior high, and high school. And then we liked it because it also, it's what all of the institutions of higher education use in Utah. So as kids build fluency there, that fluency translates when they get to college. Yeah, go ahead. New slide. Thanks. Just downsides to Canvas. If you ask kids out in the community, church, Little League games, hey, how do you guys, and I'll do this. Yeah, I work with Canvas. And I know the Canvas boss. How do you guys like Canvas? And of course, they don't really like they don't like Canvas. They don't like the Canvas boss. I never really tell them I'm associated. I might be the Canvas boss because they don't like Canvas, but it's basic, I think, is the words the kids would use. It's not flowery. We like that it's universal. It can be used in a lot of different ways, but it needs something else to engage in the way where we're looking for 5 positives to 1 negative. Canvas itself is going to fall way short on that. So, and like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of data in Canvas. It's getting it out in a usable way. That's what we need. That's what we were in need of. And it's, if we think it's bad for secondary kids, elementary teachers, think it's worse for all those same reasons. So, okay, next slide. So when we met Dr. Chapman and we looked at Delphinium, we were immediately interested. First of all, it gives us better insight as to where kids are. It has a different look. It has, it has a very elementary look to it, especially with the avatars. But we already know that it works in a college setting too, because that's where he's done his research. And we are looking for those little drops of dopamine. That's really what those attaboys are, right? The 5 to 1 is how do we go dopamine, 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 constructive criticism with love, and keep kids moving that way and challenge them that way. But for them to know they can do it, they need the positive. And in the online setting where they're not always looking directly at a teacher, it's hard to give them that in that type of frequency. So we're looking at tools to do that. If I go back to Dwight Schrute, like he makes me smile probably 5 times in 6 or 7 minutes when I'm watching that show, and that's what keeps me engaged. So it can be done digitally, but how do we do that, in the learning setting, and that's really what we're after. What we really love about Delphinium is the fact that we can send targeted communication to specific groups of kids. And with the data visibility, it helps us identify who those kids are so we can get that communication right to them. There's nothing worse for any of us having our inboxes fill up with stuff we don't really need or doesn't apply. Or and when that happens a lot, of course, we tune out more and more. So we lose engagement rather than gain it. But we've also really enjoyed the opportunity to work with Dr. Chapman. He's got a PhD. He understands research. We know that data is, in the end, what will inform our decisions moving forward. And to have a thought partner that understands that, can help us with that, and participate in that with us is also very attractive, but it's also very helpful. So one more slide to show you our journey. So this is just, Davis Connect data from 2022 to 2023. And, first and foremost, this is teachers in learning communities, professional learning communities, talking about their data, talking about what works and doesn't work. And that's the big reason that you can look at our data there and see that we improved significantly. So something happened from 2022 to 2023. That was a big part of it. But the addition of Delphinium has added to that conversation, and we can confidently say that, we moved to this software and there wasn't an implementation bump, right? Like it did no harm, but not only did it not do harm, but we're seeing better success with its use. So, of course, all of those things become part of Davis Connect and part of the conversation. And that's why it's a privilege for us to talk with you today. So let me introduce 2 of our guest teachers, rock stars. I know there's a commercial out there that says you shouldn't use that term loosely, and we're not. These guys are rock stars. So Tiffany Dance with our elementary school. She's one of our teacher coaches, but has a really good understanding as to how we use Delphinium in that elementary online school. And then Natalie Niederhauser is a secondary math teacher. And if you can teach math online, you can teach anything. And she is fantastic, and kids connect to her, and a big reason that we've seen the success that we have. So, but I'll also say this about our more broad school district. So we have 70 plus thousand kids, 3,000 teachers. We will turn on Delphinium to all of those teachers for use in their schools and classrooms. They're asking us for it now. And so we're in the process of going district-wide with Delphinium, even though some of our bright spots with its use already happened in our online school here. So let's go to Tiffany first and then Natalie. And
Hi, everyone. Like Brian said, I am Tiffany Dance, one of the instructional coaches at Davis Connect. I get to help our amazing teachers from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade navigate virtual learning while utilizing best practices. I also had the opportunity to teach second grade for Davis Connect before coaching, so I have a pretty clear understanding of the needs and wants of our incredible teachers and families. I'm excited to share how Delphinium has been a game changer for our elementary teachers and students. One of the key features that has transformed our classrooms is the gamification and rewards. We all know that timely, positive reinforcement is best practice, but that can be tricky, time-consuming, and difficult to streamline, especially when you are in a virtual setting and unable to give quick stickers or smiley face stamps as you walk the room. Our students are mostly responsible for completing their assignments asynchronously at home. You can see how it can be difficult to encourage them to complete successful work when they physically can't see you and you can't go stand by their desk to encourage them. Even though it has been great for our virtual setting, I can confidently assume it would be great in a brick and mortar classroom as well. Coming from teaching many years in classrooms where personalized company-based learning was an important focus and still is, these rewards could help encourage students to reach higher achievements while encouraging personal responsibility. Our students absolutely love the interactive elements where they earn points to enhance their avatars and unlock prize boxes. The little purple avatar you see there belongs to one of our cute students. She created it by earning points. And the points are given for completing their assignments, and more points are given if they do well on their assignments. We have had students redo a quiz that they did poorly on to earn more points so they could just earn googly eyes for their avatar. And the teachers love the points and rewards because it's done for them. And that's one more thing that's just taken off of their plate so they can focus elsewhere. And it's particularly noteworthy because building that motivation in young students can be challenging, but Delphinium has made it easier for our teachers. So if you want to click play on there, Jared, it just kind of shows you a little bit of how you can change your avatar. Oh, back one, sorry. Yeah, that one. So you earn points, and then there's different things that you get to earn with those points, and our students love that. Okay, then the next slide. So Delphinium isn't just about points, it's also about fostering that motivation and watching students eagerly participate, striving to climb that leaderboard, as you can see on the left side of that screen. Under all the dancing ponies. It has been incredible, rewarding for the teachers and the students. The interactive prize boxes have been a huge motivation for students. They get so excited to unlock the next box. There is a prize for all types of learners, from ponies dancing across the screen like you can see there. And in a moment, you'll see the fireworks, and there's dinosaurs that growl. As you can see from the responses from one of our cute fourth grade students there on this screen, the ponies are pretty cool and they will work for that, and we love that. The enthusiasm generated by the system has translated into increased engagement and work completion. This is an exciting achievement considering how challenging, like I said, that it can be to instill motivation in young learners. But Delphinium has made it accessible with minimal effort on the part of our teachers. Yeah, you can see those fireworks will start popping up, and that's just a reward that they get for turning in their assignments. And so now one of our most incredible secondary lead teachers, Natalie, is going to share how Delphinium has helped in the secondary space.
Hey everybody, I'm Natalie Niederhauser. I am a high school math teacher for Davis Connect. I've been teaching for about 12 years and 7 of those years, I think it's 8 years online now. So I've taught for Davis School District for majority of that, but I've taught at another virtual online school. And so I've had a lot of experience teaching online, and I've loved the opportunity to be able to be involved with this with Delphinium and get to know Jared and kind of be very hands-on in just even training our teachers and being involved. So one thing that I just wanted to kind of talk about is a little different from the elementary school side, more in the secondary realm. If you know teenagers, they live by their Snapchat, their Twitter. Twitter might not even be a thing for them anymore. TikTok, right? I'm just aging myself by saying Twitter, apparently. But it's the memes, it's color, it's just everything so quick and colorful. And I feel like to keep their attention sometimes is hard. And so one thing I have loved about Delphinium is first and foremost the homepage. Jared talked about Canvas and the look of Canvas and how it's just not exciting. For me, it's been so fun to have the color. It even shows here, one of our teachers, our high school teachers, has said, I want students to be excited for class. I want them to, and especially in an online environment, how do you do that, right? I mean, when they initially pull up their course, what do they see, and how do you get them excited right out the gate? And this has been something that has been awesome for our online students, excuse me, not only from the avatar, but the course countdown. How often are we telling students, this is the deadline, this is the deadline, don't forget the deadline, in our emails and our communication? And it just kind of gets brushed off that way sometimes. But through Delphinium and our homepage, this gives us an opportunity for them to see that every day. Every day they log into their courses, they see, hey, I have this much time to finish or complete the course or till the end of the term. So that has been a huge part of our love for Delphinium, and just exciting the kids, the colors, and just being able to have them instantly be excited for our course just by that initial homepage. Go ahead and go to the next slide, Jared. The next thing, especially as a math teacher, I love some data. Data is my favorite, right? And so one thing that we've loved about Delphinium is the control tower. We can access this from our homepage, and it has so many different elements. One element is our grade screen. The coolest part about this grade screen is I can see with color my students' progress, see their points, their percentages. And again, like I said, I love even just the little emoji type things off to the side to tell me where a student is very quickly and with color. The next part of it is the stats. It gives me all this information about where my students are. I can go to an assignment and see who's struggling and what percentage of my students are struggling, to then give me a quick and easy way to say, hey, I need to go back to that. That's something that either majority of my students didn't understand. I need to go back and maybe do a reteach, or maybe I see something that kids are doing really well at, and that's something that I can push through a little bit quicker from in the years coming. Like I can kind of look at that in a quick way that for me, that's huge. I mean, when I'm planning my day-to-day, I want that data quick and I want it accessible. And that's been super nice. Like you can see in the quote here, I love to have the ability to see data about students' progress and then quickly have a way to reach out to a specific group of students. I think Ryan even mentioned that. It's so nice that I can go and I can filter on our grades tab just to my failing students. I can communicate with them in a way that is personalized and gives me the option to, show them, hey, this is where you're at. Give them just a quick, even message. I can filter to my students that are in the 90s and above. And I feel like a lot of the times there's so much focus on, hey, this kid's failing, I need to reach out to them. But this gives me an opportunity to celebrate my students that are doing well too. And I think sadly, we tend to push that off because we are so focused on those failing kids. So for me personally, like I think about this as a parent, as a teacher, like I want to hear about that. I want to hear about when my student's doing well. So it has been so nice. And on top of that, we can also include the parents in on those messages so they know, hey, you are doing great, and remind them to celebrate their student or their child. So next slide. The next slide kind of goes hand in hand with what I was just talking about. The message center is another part of the control tower. It's so fun. Again, I'm just like a little teenager. I love putting emojis in my messages. It makes it so much more fun. I can't tell you when I get an email and it's paragraph beyond paragraph beyond paragraph, and I don't get at least one emoji in there, I'm a little disappointed. I want some emojis just to make me smile, or make my day better. I know it's weird, but that's the day and age we live in, is emojis, memes, GIFs, all of that. And I love that. And it's so slick and easy to use too. Writing these messages, it allows us to even send out progress reports. We can schedule messages. Maybe it's midterm and we want to reach out to students and remind them that it's midterm. It saves, for me personally as a math teacher, and with the number of kids I have at Davis Connect, it saves me so much time in my communication and allows me more time to work with my students one-on-one. And that's one thing that has been hard in the online world, is there's a lot more clerical type things that we feel like we have to do, right? As far as documenting and different Excel sheets that we have to work through. But because of the ease of Delphinium and allowing me to communicate and personalize my communication to my students, it's given me so much more opportunity to work one-on-one with my students, which is what I would like, right? That's why I went into teaching. I want to work with these kids. I want to help them feel successful. And so this has been, like even Jared said, he saved most of my Saturday nights, not all of them, but most of them. We still have to work a couple of those, but it has been so much help to me and all of the high school teachers at Davis Connect.
Well, I think you can all see why I love working with these folks. It's so fun. So thank you, Tiffany, Natalie, and Ryan. We would love to share Delphinium with as many students as we can. It's really important to us that we help students succeed. And we would love to work with anybody who's on this call and maybe other people as well. I think at this time, what I'd like to do is open it up to any questions, if there's anything that anyone would like to know, or if Ryan or Natalie or Tiffany would want to add something that maybe they thought of later. Love to hear that.
And while anyone can type in and ask a question, a couple questions came direct to me, so maybe I'll start with those and ask. And I'm not sure who the best person to answer those, so if you feel inclined, just jump in. But one was, what does it take to build out my Canvas course with Delphinium? And do I need to rebuild everything into Delphinium?
Yeah, I think if you're looking at Tiffany and Natalie's face, they just gave the answer. It's no. Delphinium, we knew would fail if it was a lot of work. You turn it on and it's about 2 or 3 minutes and it should be ready to go. Everything is done in Canvas initially. So all of your coursework, all of the work you've done in Canvas to build your course, you turn Delphinium on and Delphinium calls Canvas and says, send it all. Tell me everything about the students, tell me everything about the assignments, and it builds itself out of that. Out of the box, we'll give you a very serviceable template that will work just about every course. And then you've got a lot of customization options. And I think you could tell between Tiffany and Natalie, they've done quite a bit of customizing so it matched them. We want it to fit that teacher. But out of the box, any teacher should be ready to launch Delphinium in about 5-ish minutes. Do you want to add anything to that, Natalie and Tiffany?
I'll jump in on that too. So being one of the people that has to pay for it, right? It's really important for us as a school district not to give any of our teachers one more thing, right? So if it didn't live in Canvas, we don't really want students to know, that's Delphinium, or, oh, that's Canvas. We just want them to see, we just want them to see their teacher. But on their end, it needs to all look the same and feel the same. And same with our teachers. The other thing, we've become pretty skeptical of is buying products where if you put a lot of work and resource or even curriculum into those products, and then if you don't renew that license, you lose it all, right? And that's not the case with Delphinium, and that's why we're interested in it. Because we can take it as a tool. It's a skin over canvas. People don't see that it's different. We can work there and we can use it as a tool. But if something happened to our budget, we lose the look, we lose some functionality in Canvas, but we don't lose the curriculum and the resources that we put into Canvas itself. So that's one of the reasons why it's attractive to us.
Perfect.
We also have some other, sorry, Brett, we have some other team members on as well. Sarah Labarge, who does a lot of, she's our curriculum director within Davis Connect and works with those online classes. She may have some things that would be helpful as well.
Yeah, and she posted here into the chat. So one of the important things to know is that whatever the teacher creates and uses in Delphinium, it can roll over, right? So from year to year, and it saves time as you kind of build from year to year, which I think is great as well.
Can I say one more thing about that part too? So on the teacher side of it, you can create something and then share it with the teacher, and it automatically goes to that teacher's course. So not each individual teacher needs to do the work on it. One person or a team of people, that's what we did at Davis Connect, can create what you want it to look like. So it's all uniform, and then like so slick, it just goes over into those other courses. Yeah. And the comment here about the usability and customization and all of that. And it so like your grading and your assignments and those things are the same. It's nothing, none of that is changing. Everything you already know how to do in Canvas, that doesn't change. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sarah, can I do you mind jumping in? I've done a lot of work with you, and I know you've done a lot of work supporting a lot of teachers. I'd love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, I'm honored to be able to speak with such great people, and thanks for letting me a part of this discussion. I will say that after 15 minutes of a walk through pretty much just the tour with Jared of how Delphinium works, I said, Jared, you just saved me hours of mail merging because I was trying to get personalized messages, kind of like what Natalie was saying earlier, where my students that are doing well and they're progressing and they're above pace and they're moving forward and they're doing great. Like, what message do I send to them versus my students that are not as engaged, or my students that are in the middle, right? They're on the borderline of I might lose them if they continue in this trend that I've been seeing the last week. And, you know, before I came online, I worked at a Title I junior high, and I would say that those concerns were the same, and I was using Canvas with them too. So I just don't think that this is an online only solution. I feel like because we just have this experience in education now that students have to live in a brick and mortar classroom, but there's a virtual component, right? And I just think that this saves teachers so much time and really brings that, I think, that part of personalized learning that we're all trying to reach for, which is, you know, what's my part as a teacher and what's the part of the student? How much do I allow the student to kind of choose their pace and their path? And they're working towards proficiency, and how much am I on that side also trying to help guide pace and path and proficiency? And I like that Delphinium has both sides, right? That the students are being able to self-monitor and be self-aware. And there's just so much that they can do from that Delphinium dashboard that we no longer use a homepage. Like, they can get to so many functions that's, you know, Canvas backed, whether it's grades or modules or a particular assignment, as well as then those gamification things that I knew that this was a game changer when I heard about it, but now that we've been using it for several months, and when I'm getting emails from students and parents and or via teachers about the successes that they're seeing, and them referring to Delphinium and them referring to their homepage and referring to just their progress and their excitement about it, that just shows that it's visible to them, right? Kind of like what Dr. Hansen said, we don't want to buy products that just kind of fizzle out, right? Or people get so frustrated that there's so much setup and onboarding, and they built everything, and now we got to transition to something else. It's when the product's visible to the user, which is also the student and the observer counts. I think that speaks volumes.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that.
Hey, Dr. Chapman. Oh, sorry, Brett.
Sorry,
I was just
going to say, Sarah, I thought this message came direct to me, but you just answered it. It was, is Delphinium meant to help mostly online classes, or can it also help traditional in-person students? And I think you just hit on that exactly. So thank you.
Yeah, and I would just add briefly, I shared some of the conversations we were having in traditional schools, and they're the exact same conversations that we have in the online school. Translating is sometimes a little different, but the conversation and the goals are the same. One of the things we've learned, as we've gone in Davis, we've gone in a lot of different ways, especially in our traditional schools. Some of our traditional schools, we've gone way out there with the personalization of learning and allowing students to self-pace, so the moving of deadlines and or eliminating deadlines and just making sure they get, that we're putting a priority on the achievement of the academic standard and not the time frame that it takes to get there. But what we've learned in doing that is, I don't know how long, but we've done a really poor job of teaching students how to be responsible with their own learning, right? They don't come as self-starters. We procrastinate, when we don't have deadlines, we procrastinate until the deadline, whatever deadline that might be. And I don't know if it's just students, it might be, we all procrastinate. But we've got to do a better job, like Sarah said, of teaching kids to self-monitor and self-pace, managing their workload. So I've got this much work to do. I got to get this much done in this time frame. And so Delphinium takes a really big step for us in helping students at least see where they're at. Like Natalie said, here's the clock and it's ticking, and where am I at? And where do I need to be? And so as we learn how to better teach that to kids, I think that's going to continue to be a big part of that, a big piece of that puzzle, both in the online classroom and in the traditional setting. But we do have to teach it better. We got to get better at that as a profession.
This is not a question that anybody asked, but I will throw in an additional idea there. So I have 5 kids, and I live in Canvas as a professor. As a parent, I find Canvas very frustrating. Being able to, there's not really a great way for me to see how my kid is doing, and it's even more frustrating if there's not a consistent experience. So some teachers are using one system or another system or no system at all. I find that very challenging as a parent, because I want my kids to succeed, but often I don't know how they're doing until they've got that F in Infinite Campus. And I would love to get ahead. So we built Delphinium for me as a parent as well. The parent-facing tools just make it just very obvious how the kids are doing and where they're falling behind and where they need to get some encouragement. So one of our goals there was to better pull parents into the team of helping the students succeed.
And it might be, I see Kurt ask a question, how does it compare to other platforms or products? Delphinium is not the only Canvas add-on that we've purchased, or probably that we will purchase. It is definitely a part of the package that we're purchasing now to get that additional functionality out of Canvas, and it works well with other with other products. It's not a, well, if you use this, you can't use this. It's, well, we use this to do this, and then we have this over here that does this, and they they play nicely in that setting. But also, Dr. Chapman and Delphinium, they've been really good at listening to what we say we would like to see added and see those things added. So, the functionality that it has now, it's not the functionality that's going to have next year. It's going to continue to improve that way. And that's where we like the partnership. That's where we like that they listen and they're looking at things that we know we need.
Jared, that was all for the questions.
That's awesome. Thank you, everybody, for all of the questions. And again, I intentionally cut my part of this as short as I could get because I knew that Tiffany, Ryan, and Natalie and Sarah would do far better than I could ever do it at sort of describing what Delphinium does. I think we're probably at a good place to wrap up. I just want to say thank you for all of those who were able to join us today. We would love to continue this conversation with you. And we'd also like to start talking with people about some of what we've been cooking up for the future. One of the things we're thinking about a lot right now to help teachers give the teachers more of their time back is a virtual teaching assistant. This is not something that would necessarily help with teaching a specific subject, but this is a tool that will be able to respond to students' questions quickly so that they can remove any obstacles they have and get back to work. And we would love to start connecting with people early on to help us start thinking about how could we really create something that would be very useful to you. So that would be part of a continuing conversation that we would like to continue with folks. If there are no other questions, maybe something else came in the chat. Did you see anything else? I just saw the count go up.
Nope.
With that, I will say thank you to everybody, and I think we did the timing just right, so we'll wrap this up. Thank you very much.